What up? My name is DECAP, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I produced One Lonely Night for Joyner Lucas and Ableton Live.
Oh shit, where the noise at? Everybody got a squad, can't avoid that. Niggas screaming gang, 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 oh yeah. But when the shit hit the fan, where your boys at?
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Beat with DECAP. In this episode, I'm going to show you how I produced One Lonely Night for Joyner Lucas and Ableton Live. I played it for Joyner's engineer, Knox Beats, and he heard the intro in my track, and he thought it matched this other track that Joyner had, which was just him singing over a piano.
They told me not to take it there. I swear to God, man, I was supposed to make it here. I was supposed to make it here.
That was the intro for One Lonely Night. Originally, I released the beat for One Lonely Night as an instrumental. Some of you may know it as the track Wake Up, which is still available on all platforms. Right now, I'm going to get into how I produced One Lonely Night for Joyner Lucas and Ableton. Check it out. So in the intro, there's piano, which I use Complete Control, Alicia Keys' piano library. I also have an arpeggio with another Complete Control piano. There's some live congas that I played, and some toms from Drums That Knock Volume 5. So let me play that. I wanted to give the intro almost a cinematic feel with the congas in the beginning. I'll solo them so you can hear them individually. I'll solo the arpeggio so you can hear it. And I did that with the Gentleman piano in Complete Control. And then I have just a top line over the piano chords. Real simple. And then I layered that with a synth in Complete Control Razor. And then the toms, I released these toms from this track in Drums That Knock Volume 5. And that's just... All right, and this is how the track drops. Okay, in this section, I have a string section which I played in Complete Control. I don't have the plugin, I actually flattened this. So in the main string line, I did a pitch bend when the track first drops in. And you can see I just went to my envelopes in Ableton and I went to Clip, Transposition Modulation, and drew in the bend from -10 to back up to 0. And it sounds like this. So originally it sounded like this. I just thought it gave it a cool effect when it first dropped in. Other than the strings, I have the drums, and I'll show you how I did the drums. So these are the drums soloed. So for the hi-hats, I used a loop from Drums That Knock Volume 2, my drum kit. And I just have a kick and a snare, and then I have a layer on top of the kick and snare to give it more oomph. So on the kick, I had it in drum rack originally, but then on the flattened version, I just cut some of the high frequencies above 5 kilohertz. And the snare, I didn't do anything after it was processed. And then on the drum layer, this is where I kind of added some oomph to it. So let me play you the layer alone. And then with everything else. So on the drum layer, to give it more punch, I added a transient master on it, and I lowered the sustain to cut the length of the drum sounds, just so it kind of focuses on this attack. Then I cut the low frequencies below 50 hertz on the kick and snare. Then I just kind of squashed it with a glue compressor just to give it some soft clipping and distortion. Then it looks like I did another EQ cut at about 93 hertz. Then I gave it a stereo effect, a Haas effect, and that sounds like this. And then with everything else. Listening back a couple years later with a lot of things I've learned, I might not have approached it that way, but I think overall the track sounds cool, so whatever. There's no rules to this. Later on in the track, the intro piano chords come back in, so I'll play that all together. And then in the next section, I added some Rhodes from Complete Control. I'll solo that so you can hear it. And on this, there's an auto filter that sweeps from low frequencies to high frequencies. And it's also side-chained to the drums. So I felt like that kind of gave it a hypnotic feel. I really love this part of the track. So this is what it sounds like with everything. And then I brought back the same piano arpeggio from the intro back in this bridge section. The 808 in the track is flattened. I don't remember what I used to make it, but I know it's sidechained to the drums. And also the rolls in it, I used the technique where I did transposition modulation on the wave itself, which I have a video explaining how to do that. So that sounds like this. I actually like some of the rolls I did on this track, on the 808s. This one I did a more trippy one. Check this one out. It sounds weird alone, but listen to it with the track. And also I have congas that play throughout the track, and they sound like this. So it looks like I did a bunch of crazy stuff with the congas. So it looks like I added about 15 decibels of makeup gain with soft clipping on the congas to give it a soft clip sound. It looks like I EQ'd, I don't know why I did this. It's kind of crazy. I probably wouldn't do this today, but it worked. I EQ'd the left and the right separately to kind of give it a Haas type EQ effect. Then I added a simple delay on it to push it off the grid about 41 milliseconds. Then I added a simple delay to give it the actual Haas effect. Then I added a compressor to it to make it duck out every time the kick or snare hit. And the simple delay is how I got, actually I'm going to show you without it and then with it. So this is without any of the effects. And this is with it. So it sounds kind of funky on its own, but with everything it sounds cool. So this is how it sounds with everything. So I liked how that sounded, so I kept it. And then I remember I did like, I did a whole track of shouts. here, and I ended up keeping that one, but I have a whole bunch that I recorded. So this is what it sounds like. Sounds cool. If you want shouts like this, you can get them in all my Drums That Knock kits. And then here I added a live kabasa, and here I added it too. So this is what it sounds like. And so on the master, literally all I have is a glue compressor and a limiter, which I'm only using to bring up the level 0.2 decibels. So let me show you what it sounds like without it. This is without the master. And this is with it. So I just wanted to give it a little bit of gain and push the signal past clipping a little bit. And I turned on soft clipping to kind of give it that analog feel. So it makes the drums really punch through and gives the track a real analog feel. You can see every time the drums hit and they soft clip, the clip light turns on. That means that the soft clipping is engaged. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Beat. This is how I made One Lonely Night by Joyner and Ableton. If this content is helpful for you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop new content. Be sure to follow me on all social media and leave a comment and let me know what you thought about this video. What was helpful to you? What do you want to see next? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of DECAP Behind the Beat. Peace.